I got my hands on a copy of Pokémon Legends ZA for the Switch 1. I don't have a Switch 2, so if you're used to seeing gameplay from the Switch 2 version, this is going to look like a slideshow. Despite that, I've been exploring the rebuilt Lumiose City, and I have some thoughts to share. Now, don't take what I have to say with a grain of salt. I've played just under 24 hours of the game, and I'm taking it slowly in order to see all that I can of what this title has to offer. With all that said, I don't believe I'm exaggerating when I say Pokémon Legends ZA is, well, it's a very different game. First and foremost, Lumiose City feels bigger this time. Like the central city is circling a regional landmark rather than just the round area in the middle of the map. Now, you might be thinking, but Specs, the last time we saw Lumiose was on the 3DS, which had a much smaller screen. Of course it looks bigger now. And that's certainly part of it. Back in the days of X and Y, we could only experience Lumiose at the scale of a 3DS game. Back then, buildings were only 4 or 5 times taller than your trainer, so Lumiose felt big, but not massive. The old Lumiose basically felt like 4 small cities stitched together. In ZA, you can actually look around and see the city stretch out in each direction. When you factor in that we can now run down any and every alleyway and climb up to traverse the rooftops, there's no denying that Lumiose in ZA is an upgrade to the original that now feels like a real city. It's not only an increase in scale in terms of the size of the city, but in the lifestyle we get to see and experience. One of the high points in ZA is the return of full character customization, which we have all been yearning for after Scarlet and Violet's abysmal school uniforms only outfits. ZA feels like the perfect title to bring back that self-expression through clothing, as X and Y were the first mainline games where we were allowed to purchase and wear new outfits. On a personal note, I do wish there were more casual attire options. Don't get me wrong, I get that the fashion-forward culture fits the French flair of Kalos, but I didn't think I'd need to cross the city just to find a jacket that doesn't look runway ready. One aspect with a lot to talk about is the new battle system. It feels like there's a pattern being established here. The Legends titles seem to be opportunities for Game Freak to experiment with how battles can be held differently. They're taking the mechanics we're familiar with and twisting them into something new but still familiar. I personally think Legends Arceus hit a certain sweet spot. It was different enough from the standard battle system that it felt like its own separate experience, but still rewarded strategic movesets and stat manipulation. Then there's ZA, which is a much greater departure from the norm. Moves have cooldowns rather than power points, battles are real-time rather than turn-based, and positioning on the field is important, except when it's not. Now, I haven't played PvP yet, but I do have some concerns about that to address later. For now, I'll be focusing on the single-player battle experience, particularly when it comes to the ZA Royale, Lumiose's after-hours, free-for-all street fighting tournament. Once you're in a battle, it's pretty straightforward. You can run around freely, and your Pokémon will follow you as best as it can. You target your opponent's Pokémon and select the attack you want your partner to use. Depending on the range of the move, your Pokémon will sometimes run up to the opponent or back to your side before launching the attack, and some moves displace Pokémon or create hazards that change how you move around. It takes some getting used to, but once you figure it out, the battles aren't that hard at all. What I have more issue with is how finicky the whole sneaking system is. I get what they were going for. The ZA Royale really has this street brawl, no-holds-barred feel to it, where getting the drop on your opponent is not only allowed, but encouraged. There's no pre-battle banter about shorts being comfy, you just get right into the action. Battles can start in one of 2 ways. You sneak up on your opponent without them seeing you, and your Pokémon lands an attack on theirs, giving you an advantage. However, if the other trainer spots you, they can initiate the battle and catch you off guard. Landing the first strike on an unaware target supposedly gives you an opportunity to act before your opponent realizes the battle started, but the only real advantage seems to be the initial damage. Essentially, if you don't get a one-hit KO, the other trainer will still act immediately when the battle starts. On the other hand, if you get spotted first, you're locked up and not able to move or target for a few seconds, giving the opponent a chance to act ahead of you. The way I see it, there isn't much to gain from landing the sneak attack compared to what you lose when getting caught first. But for the most part, it doesn't matter. They're still just Pokémon NPCs, and they still crumble in the wake of type matchups and actual human game sense. It's just the lead up into the battles that feels finicky and at times a little frustrating. What I found happens often is if I'm not using a priority move, my Pokémon just kind of saunters over and then does their best impression of Goku charging a Spirit Bomb, like we're not pressed for time before the trainer turns to the right and spots me. And all too often I've been caught before I can gain an advantage, only to have the battle start and see that my attack landed. So apparently I failed to sneak, but the damage went through. but it doesn't count for the bonus card even though the attack landed before the battle started! So to summarize, the battles are weird but not too hard to pick up, and sneaking is only kind of worth it. Again, I haven't touched PvP, and I honestly don't think that I will all that much. The idea of being plopped on a field with 3 other players in a free-for-all just feels wrong. As far as I know, there's nothing stopping 3 players from ganging up on the 4th. Sure, it'd be hard to communicate that, but it definitely isn't impossible. Sure, maybe I'm just too concerned with how things could go wrong, but I can't be the only one who's worried about this. Many players likely either aren't all that concerned with the ranked ladder, or they are, but they understand how intimidating the competitive grind can be with just one opponent, let alone 3 at a time. This makes it all the more frustrating that some Megastones are being locked behind climbing to a certain rank, especially for casual players who just want the Megastones. And that's not even touching the Nintendo Online paywall. This feels like one of the only times there's a key gameplay item that requires you to battle other players and win against enough of them before you can obtain it. From X and Y to the Let's Go titles, if Mega Evolution was included, all the Megastones were available through in-game means or event distributions. We've already seen that the Megastones for Chestnut, Delphox, and Greninja can only be obtained by reaching K rank in a given season, with the assurance that they'll be rotated in and out as rewards between seasons. This, in my opinion, sets a concerning precedent. The casual player who wants nothing more than to just collect all the Pokémon and Mega Evolutions now has to choose to either engage in the ranked grind or never get those Megastones. Sure, it's been made clear that the Mega Evolutions for these ranked exclusive drops aren't counted toward the Mega Evolution Pokédex, but that doesn't mean they aren't counted for the player's personal sense of completion. I feel this is only going to produce a group of players, myself included, who will play just to get to K rank in the seasons where Megastones are offered and then never touch it again. The other rewards seem to be items you'd only really care about if you're actively trying to compete in ranked. I'm not saying this was a poor decision. It's just a bold one. Only time will tell what this means for the competitive scene in ZA moving forward. Back on the casual side of things, one aspect that ZA thrives in is one that I feel Pokemon games have only gotten better with over time. I am very happy with the character designs. The characters who have grown and changed from their last appearances in X and Y are nostalgic in all the right ways. It feels like visiting your hometown after years away and seeing how your old friends have built their new lives. The new characters are great too. They're the perfect amount of quirky and weird, and they have their own drives and aspirations that you just want to get behind. In particular, it looks like Game Freak has settled on giving us 3 best friend characters per game that are meant to really draw us in with their stories and personalities, and I'm 100% on board. Speaking of percentages, I do have to wonder if they did something to the shiny odds again in this game. In less than 24 hours of playing this game normally, I've caught 4 shiny Pokemon, and that's not counting the shiny Mareep that's guaranteed in a side mission. I don't even know how to shiny hunt in this game yet. They've all caught me completely off guard. I would have missed a couple of them if not for that little sparkle chime returning in this game. They either made shinies way too common, or I need to try my hand at the game corner, which, you know, no longer exists. So how do I feel about Pokemon Legends ZA? It's different. Is that bad? No. Is it good? Maybe. What it does mean for sure is that Game Freak is not done trying new things. It's been said for years that Pokemon games are all basically the same. With all the new gimmicks and features, at its core, Pokemon is Pokemon. It's easy to just make the same game that's done well in the past and change the packaging a little. Coming up with a new concept that still honors the original idea can be a challenge. The fact that ZA is so different from other titles in the franchise proves that Game Freak still has new ideas on the table. Not everyone is going to appreciate these new ideas, but I, for one, am interested in what comes next. That's all for now. I'm going to get back to the game and see how many shinies I can find over my next 24 hours of play. I'm DJ Specs. Thanks for tuning in.